This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
The X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell is largely an opinion talk show. All opinions, comments, or statements of fact expressed by Rob McConnell's guests are strictly their own and are not to be construed as those of the X-Zone Radio Show or endorsed in any manner by Rob McConnell, rel-mar McConnell Media Company, the X-Zone Broadcast Network, its affiliated networks, stations, employees, or advertisers.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X-Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
And welcome back to the X-Zone, everyone. I am Rob McConnell, and for the next 4 hours, I am your host. I am your guide as together we cross the time-space continuum to this place that we call the X-Zone. It's a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. It's a place where fact is fiction and fiction, well, 9 times out of 10 is reality. And we come to you Monday through Friday from 11 p.m. Eastern until 2 a.m. Eastern. From 10 p.m. Eastern until 2 a.m. Eastern, right here on the X-Zone Broadcast Network and our growing family of broadcast affiliates right around this great big world of ours. If you'd like to find out more about the X-Zone Broadcast Network and the programming we have for you 724, 365, and the great shows we also have to offer you, just visit us online at xzbn.net. X-Zone Nation, my guest this hour is John Milor, and he is the author of several books and talk show guest for numerous programs. His interest in paranormal phenomenon began at the age of 5 after hearing his great-grandmother's testimony to his entire family. When she was a young girl, she and her sister saw a UFO slowly hovering over the Great Plains of Kentucky during a broad daylight sighting. They were close enough to even see its humanoid occupant through the transparent bubble of the top of the aircraft. At that time, neither of them had seen an automobile before, much less a wingless flying machine. What makes her testimony truly unique is that she was a devout Christian, the wife of a minister. John became a born-again Christian at the age of 21, yet he continues to investigate paranormal phenomenon, now with a biblical perspective. His mission began with reconciling his Christian faith with his belief in extraterrestrial life. He has 2 associate degrees, a bachelor and a master's, and is currently working on his second master's degree. He serves in the military as a senior master sergeant in charge of cyber operations. All are invited to visit his website to read some of his books, as well as articles for free at www.aliensinthebible.com. Joining me now is John Milor. And John, welcome back to the X-Zone. It's been a long time, and I'm so happy you're able to join us tonight.
Hi, thank you for having me back on. Yeah, it has been a while.
It has been a while, John. And for our listeners who haven't had the opportunity of hearing you before, can you expand on your interest in extraterrestrials and the connection they have to the Bible?
Yeah. Okay. So this latest book I have, it's actually a next installment of material that I thought I was done writing about. Mm-hmm. It kind of goes back to when I was a kid, like with my great grandmother's story there that you mentioned coming in there, and then later in life when I was in the Army, I actually witnessed and communicated with something that is not of this world, whatever that thing was. I can't think of any biological life form that is a glowing ball of light that flashes on and off, hovers silently. When you can't see it, it's like completely invisible, even with night vision goggles. And yet, when I asked it to reveal itself, to explain what it was, I felt it actually approach me. I felt its presence. It flew right over my head. And there was a person there that was with me witnessing this. And I said, I don't know how I know, but the next time this thing flashes, it's going to flash right there. And I pointed to this place in the jungle right behind me, and it flashed exactly when I said there and exactly where I pointed. And I, to this day, have no idea how it made me feel and know where it was going to flash. So when I say that it communicated to me, it wasn't in a language or anything. That's the communication, that it revealed to me that it was sentient. It let me know that it was observing me and that it wanted me to know where it was at and exactly when it would flash, and to let me know also that, it was alive. It was a sentient thing. Because my whole point was, I was out there on the middle of this road in Panama in the jungle playing James T. Kirk. And I gave it the spiel of, hey, we mean you no harm. We're here, we're in peace, and I just want to know what you're all about. And I was introducing myself, and that's what this thing did.
John, stand by. We've got to take our first break. X-Zone Nation, John Milor is our special guest. And to find out more about John, read part of his books, many articles, visit his website at aliensinthebible.com. This is the X-Zone. I am Rob McConnell. We'll be back. Don't go away.
This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember, 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
I am Dr. Carl O'Helvey, founder, president of a new cancer foundation focusing on evidence-based physical, mental, and spiritual interventions, including natural cancer cures, prayer, meditation, affirmations, nutrition, and other related holistic cancer prevention and cure modalities. These are used in cancer education, research, and financing care. I ask for your help to continue this important work by donating at www.holisticcancerfoundation.com.
Is it science or is it magic? Once a magical thing has been scientifically proven, is it no longer magic? Or is magic simply the science of tomorrow? Join me, Gwilda Wiyaka, on The Science of Magic, a syndicated radio program dedicated to combining the science and magic of today's dynamic and controversial topics to co-create new solutions. By triangulating information from today's leading experts from the scientific and magical fields, we uncover expansive and evolutionary truths you won't find anywhere else. Join us daily on the X Zone Broadcast Network, xzbn.net, as I interview the shared thoughts with the amazing guests from both science and magic. The resulting knowledge is unprecedented. As a gift to you, the listener, past episodes can be accessed on our website free of charge at thescienceofmagic.net.
Little children aren't the only ones afraid of the dark. Millions of soldiers return from war zones with PTSD, anger, frustration, fear, and loneliness, much of which surfaces during the darkness of the night. You have the chance to change the lives of these American heroes. Songs and Stories for Soldiers.us provides free MP3 players for these men and women. With a list of 3 million songs in 16 different styles, 100,000 audiobooks, and 30,000 old-time radio programs, every veteran can find something to soothe and comfort them at no cost. All our players contain an 8-hour audio program designed to help veterans fall asleep. With 1,500 plus vets now participating, it's our goal to deliver 10,000 audio players this year. Go to our website at songsandstoriesforsoldiers.us. Help us help a veteran make it through the night.
www.aliensinthebible.com is the website of my guest of this hour, John Milor. And John, before we went to the commercial break, you were telling us about this very strange encounter that you had in Panama.
Yeah, that was in Panama that this happened. It was actually during the Panamanian conflict in 1990. And I was at a guard post when this happened. And my platoon or my squad leader was there with me, or team leader. So he witnessed this whole thing too. Mm-hmm. And after this thing did its round of communication with me, it then did a circle around our perimeter, flashing as it was going, almost like it was taking pictures or something. But it did seem to be observing us. It did act like it was curious because it just came out of the jungle on our position, made a beeline for our position, and then stopped. And I had this communication experience with it. Then it did a circle around our position and then went down, and it performed the same function around the other two military positions further down this path that led deeper into the jungle. And after the last position, it just went back off into the jungle. Like it just went there specifically to investigate us, collect information, and then leave.
You know, just listening to the story, it reminds me of the Rendlesham Forest event.
Was that the one in the
United Kingdom?
Yeah.
You know,
Maelstrom, right?
Maelstrom Air Force Base, yeah.
Yeah, I read about that.
Fascinating.
This was not what that was a triangular craft, and he actually walked up and touched it and downloaded all this information. For me, I don't know. Maybe I did receive a download, and I don't know, but I don't have any, ones and zeros in my head.
Right.
I did get into computers after that. I am a cybersecurity person for the past 18 years, but I haven't had any programs or mathematical algorithms, pop into my head. What I did have was a unquenchable desire to reconcile my Christian beliefs with what I believed was extraterrestrial life. My great-grandmother, she was a firm believer in the Bible. She had read it 27 times. Godly woman, very peace-loving and involved in ministry her entire life, and yet she had this testimony to the family that when she was a kid, she saw this UFO, and she said those things were real, and she didn't care what people thought. So I was left with, she never felt the need to reconcile this. Like, she didn't even see that there was anything that needed reconciling. I, however, look deeper into it, and the first thing I come to is evolution, because usually when people talk about extraterrestrial life, they think of them in terms of scientists, that we are maybe seeded here by some sort of master race and whatnot, and there's just a lot of conflicts there. So I just set out to research this with an open mind, believing that there's probably a middle ground. There's probably truth to both points of view. And I wrote Aliens in the Bible was my first book. And then I got a lot of feedback on that over the years. And then I came out with a second book, and I thought I was done. The second book is Aliens and the Antichrist. And I put both Aliens in the Bible and Aliens and the Antichrist on my website as free downloads. So anybody that wants to take those and take a look at those, they can be, they're free to do it. And they've been out there for, I believe, over 10 years now. And then I recently read this book by author Joel Richardson titled The Islamic Antichrist. And that opened this whole new paradigm, or a whole new section of way of thinking about end times prophecy that I'd never been exposed to before. And I started digging through his books and researching Islamic texts, and I started finding an extraterrestrial presence there as well. And then I saw that as he outlines, the Islamic literature supports a mirror image version of prophecy that the Bible has. A lot of the same events about the Mahdi, the different things that he will do, actually line up with who the Bible identifies as the Antichrist. And he identified 12 similarities that these characters have, and it's a perfect mirror image match. So he goes through the Bible, comparing it to the Quran and the Hadiths, and did this vast study, and I saw all of that, validity to much of what he said there, but I also went further than that and also looked for the extraterrestrial presence there, and I found that as well. So without really thinking about it, I started writing these notes, and I had a book's worth of notes done. Actually, I had far more than what I published as far as research notes. But and maybe I bit off more than I can chew, because I crammed a lot into this latest book. It's titled The Strong Delusion, Invasion of an Otherworldly Islam. And in this book, I tackle both of these end times paradigms, both the coming of Islam, rising to a global power, and pretty much overtaking the world, and that conflict between Islam and Christianity is what we're going to see in the future. That's
but
what I see.
That conflict has been going on for thousands of years. Like the conflict between Christianity and Islam is nothing new.
It's nothing new. No, you're exactly right. And the only difference is it's becoming more and more lethal.
Isn't that true?
Yeah, and according to the Bible, we're going to see continued conflict, and it's going to escalate to such an extent that we're going to see even otherworldly powers involved in it. I do believe it's going to end up getting nuclear before it's over with, and it's just a whole lot of ground that I cover in the book. So,
well, let me ask you, John, do you believe, based on your Christian upbringing and the research you've done into the end times and biblical connections with extraterrestrials and now with Islam, that we are in fact, indeed, in the end times as talked about in the book of Revelation?
I'm not going to set a date on...
No, I understand that.
Yeah, exactly. I do believe that we're certainly in the times that a lot of these prophecies, a lot of them have straight up happened. There are still some that have not happened yet, but we're close enough that I can easily see all of these prophecies happening in my lifetime. An example might be every prophecy in the Bible that said that has to happen before Jesus returns.
Yes.
That's already happened. We've passed that. every prophecy that he spoke of as needing to be fulfilled prior to his return has already happened. So that clock, that benchmark has passed, and now we're in this gray area where how much more needs to happen before we actually see the return.
But I was just going to ask you, John, in your opinion, has he returned yet?
Oh, Jesus hasn't returned yet. No, of course not.
All right. So let me ask you this: based on the fact that the end time prophecy, as talked about in the book of Revelation, says that Jesus will return. What does the mirrored event in the book of Islam and the book the
Quran and
the Quran say about the end time? Will Muhammad return?
No, Muhammad will not return. The Quran actually says or indicates that Jesus will return. And the Hadiths expound upon that, and they indicate that Jesus will return and say that he's not, in fact, the Son of God, but rather just like us, with the exception of something that they haven't bothered to explain, but I point out in this book. How do you explain that he's been around for 2,000 years? He's obviously not just any old body.
That's right.
And I believe that the explanation to that will be that this will not be just your typical version of Islam that we see coming. This is going to be more like a New Agey, updated version of Islam that's going to include characters from other worlds. And we already see people like Louis Farrakhan talking about this kind of stuff. And I could see it happening already. They're going to say that Jesus is humanoid, but not from this world. He's from some other world. And so many people are going to eat that up. It's going to buy into New Age type religion. It will unite both factions of Islam, the Sunni and the Shiite. It will unite the Jews with the Muslims because Jesus was a Jew, and
That's right.
will unite a lot of Christians with that too. He will be the ultimate guru. And while the Hadiths say that Jesus will return and that he will say he's not the Son of God, and he will give his authority and he will want people to give their allegiance to this person that they'll call the Mahdi or the 12th Imam. And the Bible, according to the Bible and according to the Hadiths, there's 6 similarities between what the Bible calls the false prophet, what the Hadiths refer to as Jesus.
So, as the Bible says, in the end times, there's going to be a lot of false prophets. Is the person who comes back representing himself to be Jesus going to be a false prophet, or is he going to be, in fact, the Jesus Christ?
I believe he will be the one and only ultimate false prophet. He will be the one that is spoken of in Revelation chapter 13, in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2:11, and he will be the one in a supporting role of the Mahdi, who basically is the Antichrist. He will be one who will have signs and wonders following with everything that he does. And he will also be able to have control over a very large segment of the global economy. And this is all behind this one person who's going to consolidate all of this power. And we're starting to see some of this in the world today. I believe the rise of ISIS is a precursor. I don't think that ISIS necessarily is directly related, but I think that they might be tied into some kind of a false flag scenario.
There's a lot of violence affiliated with the, ISIS and other offshoot sects of Islam. How can we look at this as anything else but a threat to the rest of the world?
You really can't with a logical mind.
Right.
However, if you look at the theology that's outlined in the Quran, it's very clear. when Muhammad started out his ministry, he started in Mecca, and he wrote many peaceful portions of the Quran.
All right, why don't we do this? I've got to take my news break.
Most Muslims.
All right, I've got to take my news break, and I don't want to.
Mecca portions of the Quran.
All right, John, stand by. I've got to take my. Oh. Seems that we lost John Milor, X-Zone Nation. We're going to try and get him back before we come back to this third segment of this hour on the other side of the news. This is the X-Zone. I am Rob McConnell. Don't go away.
This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
How would you like to be able to read other people's minds? Well, the next best thing is here. When you know how to read a person's name, you know how the person thinks, feels, and behaves. Each letter in our name holds a key to unlock our true essence. Our name contains both our gifts and challenges in this lifetime. Mnemology science discovers personality secrets hidden in the placement of the letters of our names, including the first and last impression people remember about us. Sharon shows us how to interpret the arrangement of letters as outlined in her book, Know the Name, Know the Person. Sharon Lynn Wyeth created mnemology science after 18 years of research and testing her theories, and has supported thousands of people around the world in understanding themselves and others better. You'll enjoy Sharon's unique teachings as she shares her system to learn the gifts behind your given birth name. Even if you don't like your birth name, there are jewels in this book. If you're thinking of changing your name, ready to name your child, or wanting to get along better with others, this is the book for you. If you'd like to improve your relationships and change your life for the better, get the book today, Know the Name, Know the Person, or visit www.knowthename.com. That's www.knowthename.com.
Hello, I'm Justina Marsh, and with my dad Pete, we are going to present a new show called Too Good to Be True. Together, we are aiming to discover more truths about this world and beyond. Do you have unanswered questions about the world? Do you ever wonder about aliens, conspiracy theories, or the universe? There are many shows discussing subjects such as pyramids or UFOs, but we want to relay this information based on our own research, including from spiritual means. Hopefully, listeners will be helped with their own beliefs and will appreciate the psychic insights that add to the previous research and information. We both look forward to sharing this insight and beginning this journey with our listeners. Visit xzbn.net for more information about when to listen.
Ancient prophecies, legends, and current events indicate we're entering a high-frequency era supporting enlightenment. During expansive times, old rules fail, necessitating access to the ever-shifting currents of life for guidance. There's an ancient form of shamanism through which we can obtain the information we need. I'm Gwilda Wieka, founder and director of Path Home Shamanic Art School, with a great new provision for those interested in spiritual evolution and personal empowerment. Galactic Shamanism, Art of the Ancients, Key to Tomorrow, is an upcoming series of leading-edge online affordable classes designed to guide and support you and your family during these times of transition. Embrace the magic. Empower your life. Study Galactic Shamanism at findyourpathhome.com.
This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Welcome back, everyone. We do have John Milor back. His website is www.aliensinthebible.com. And just before we went to the news break, John, we actually lost you, and we were so happy we were able to reconnect with you. So would you mind continuing? Let me see. We were talking. You were telling me about the false prophets. Then we talked about...
violence of ISIS.
Yeah, the violence of ISIS, right.
Yeah. And basically what I was mentioning was that they draw their inspiration directly from the Quran, from the portions of the Quran that were written while Muhammad was in Medina. Quran 3:157, Quran 474, Quran 839, which is an ongoing imperative of violence until the entire world is under the subjugation of Islam. And you will not find anything like that in any other religion. Nothing to that extent. That it's a mandate for death and destruction at any cost until this religion is dominating the entire world. And that is the inspiration of Islamic terrorism. And clearly, most Muslims do not believe in that. Most Muslims, they consider jihad to be a kind of personal struggle.
Yes.
But if you actually read the Quran, it is not anything personal about it. It is global, and the scope is very detailed. It talks about beheadings. It talks about doing whatever is necessary in order to maintain control and domination. And when you simply look at the track record of these human rights violating countries all around the world, this is their inspiration right here.
Is there anything that can be done to eradicate the aggressors?
Without, going into crazy politic mode or whatever, basically what we do right now to try to, keep them from becoming nuclear developed. I would certainly support that. I don't think it's a good idea, really, for Iran to have nuclear weapons.
True.
But on the smaller scale, sending in troops and maintaining a presence and all of these things, a lot of that is very, very difficult. I'll tell you, national security has their work cut out for them because even our allies in many cases are people that you just don't want to do business with. There's just some really wretched things going on. I was shocked to find out about all of the child molestation that was going on with the people that we were working with in Afghanistan and Iraq.
Yeah.
And so, when the people that you're trying to help are human rights violators of the worst order, it really makes you just want to back up and say, you know what, I don't think I want to have anything to do with this. I mean,
so why do we team up with these people? Why do we have them on our side if they go against everything that we stand for?
A lot of it is political correctness. People saying, you know what, we can't judge their culture by the standards of our culture. Multiculturalism feeds into a lot of this to an extreme. And I'm talking about, that they had an entire police department that was abducting kids from a village and raping them in the police department by the chief of police and all of his compadres there. And the people in the village were going to the military, the U.S. military, begging for help. But these were the people that we were training.
Oh,
and we were pretty much told we couldn't do anything about it, that this was a local law enforcement matter. That's what the official word was from the White House back then. And yet a local law enforcement is the problem. There were the local law enforcement that were doing this. So nothing was really being done about it. It was very, very heart-wrenching.
Is there a connection with the Quran and extraterrestrials as there is in the Bible?
Yes, you know what? I was very surprised when I really started digging into the Quran and the Hadith that I had not heard about any of these things before. And so anyone who gets my book and reads about this may very well be the first time that this has been put out there. I did not know that, according to the Hadith, Muslim 1:311, Muhammad was apparently abducted as a boy, and heart surgery was performed on him. That's pretty out there. I never heard of that before, but I actually have that passage here, and I can read it.
Please.
If you're interested.
Yes, please.
Okay, Malik reported that Gabriel came to the messenger of Allah, peace be upon him, when he was playing with his playmates. He took a hold of him, and he lay him prostrate on the ground, and he tore open his breast and took out the heart from it and extracted a blood clot out of it. And he said, "That was the part of Satan in thee." And then he washed it with water of Zamzam in a golden basin, and then it was joined together and restored to its place. The boys came running to his mother, i.e. his nurse, and they said, "Verily, Muhammad has been murdered." They all rushed toward him, and they found him all right. His color was changed. Anas said, "I myself saw the marks of needle on his breast." Now, mind you, this was written in around 600 AD. We're talking about what very clearly looks like a heart surgery.
But how do we know, John, that this is actually a true translation of what was written and not something that was edited in order to make the event look that much grander and applicable in today's way of thinking?
Well, that, I don't speak Aramaic, so I don't have the actual original translation, but there are websites out there. I use the Quran Explorer.
Okay.
And this is what they have translated and put out there for the world to see. So, they have no problem translating this book. There's actually a number of translations along with this one. I just read one of them. There's about a dozen different translations, and they show them all translated side by side so you can compare them with each other. I don't think the Quran is a lost book, and that's one of the selling points of Islam is that they make a big deal about how their book has not been mistranslated because Muhammad was the one who wrote it, and apparently they still have original texts and whatnot, and they can always go back to the original. So I think as far as being an accurate translation, it probably is. And that's there. And in multiple translations, the basic account of what I just read about the angel Gabriel ripping open Muhammad's chest, pulling out his heart, removing a blood clot, putting it back in, it's stitching him back up in such a way that they could actually see the stitches on his chest. I mean, if this were like some sort of all symbolic story where you could say the angel cleansed his heart, well, okay, right. But that is not the language. The wording here is very specific and very detailed about his chest being ripped open and about the stitch work in particular, where they could see that he was literally cut open. So, that is there, and that's a very old text.
Are there other examples that you can share with us tonight of where you believe that an example like you just gave us with Gabriel opening up the heart of Muhammad, showing some sort of highly
continuity.
Advanced, right, as well as giving a continuity. Yeah.
Okay. Well, there's a couple of topics, but apparently Muhammad was abducted later on in life too, and that's something that we see as sort of a standard thing with abductees. They are usually not just abducted as a one-time event. It's quite frequently they come back and they do follow-ups. Muhammad's famous night journey, where he claimed to be taken to the seven heavens and witness these different things and talk to different people and such and so forth. That actual night journey was initiated by this same event happening, of this angel showing up, cutting open his chest, doing something to his heart, and putting it back into him and suturing him back up. And that's documented in Bukhari 454, 429. It's in the Quran 17:1. It's in Muslim 1301 and Malik 51:51, 410. So it's written by a number of different authors in addition to Muhammad himself. And that's pretty much his biggest claim that Muhammad ever made, where he talked about how the angel took him on this thing called a barak. This is a flying creature, he called it. I kind of contest the possibility maybe it might have been a contraption,
right?
But he considered it maybe a living thing. It flew, I calculated it out, it flew, at least had to be 750 miles an hour because of the duration of time that he was gone and the distance he traveled. And that's not counting any of the time that he apparently left this dimension. So it may have flown a lot faster than that. So, being flown around on this otherworldly creature, taken to Jerusalem. So they even have, arguments about where he tethered this creature up to the actual Dome of the Rock temple there. So this is like something that all Muslims know about Muhammad's night journey, and they'll be able to tell you about it.
With these two examples you've given us, it certainly opens up a door to a room filled with questions. For example, if this happened way back when, how come it's not happening today to people who believe in the Quran, who follow the words of the Quran, and it's not being reported to the general public? Why would it stop in the ancient days?
It is happening. Louis Farrakhan, I don't know if you've heard of him or not.
Yes, I have.
But he's one of the most famous, currently outspoken Islamic apologists in the world today, and he has a whole lot to say about an abduction that he had. His videos are on YouTube where he talks about it. He's talked about it publicly to millions of Muslims.
But talking about it and having the proof to go along with the talk, to validate, authenticate, to show the evidence, there's a big difference in there, John, and you know that as well as I do.
Yes. The evidence is probably not forthcoming for Louis Farrakhan. It is basically a testimony, a very detailed testimony, and he makes it sound a lot like the visions of Ezekiel, with the wheels within the wheels.
Right.
He calls it the mother plane, the mothership. He was apparently taken aboard. He saw all kinds of weapons. And
John, you and I have got to take our final break. Please stand by. Exonation John Milor is our guest, and if you'd like to find out more about John, visit his website. Interesting website, interesting gentleman, www.aliensinthebible.com. I'll be back as we wrap up this hour here in the X Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away.
The Earth is under ever-increasing pressure from untenable lifestyles and growing populations. Yet, viable answers seem in short supply. What if I told you there's an ancient form that can empower you to take charge of your life? What if your entire family could be enfolded and supported by life itself? finding safe passage through challenging times. I'm Gwilda Wiyaka, founder and director of Path Home Shamanic Art School, with great news: an upcoming series of leading-edge online affordable classes based in an ancient form of shamanism, easily learned and used by your entire family. Galactic Shamanism, Art of the Ancients, Key to Tomorrow are a series of online adult and children's lessons instructing your entire family on natural law, how to cooperate with and be supported by the powers of the universe. Visit findyourpathhome.com to find these unique and powerful classes.
This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember, 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
Are you curious? Do you want to learn more about how the world works and have fun at the same time? Study coincidences with me, Dr. Bernie Beitman, MD, on my Connecting with Coincidence radio show, here on the XZBN network. Listen to Jungians theorize, statisticians randomize, true believers evangelize, while I categorize. I dance to the rhythm of coincidences. People who experience me see more of them. Maybe something on the show matches a thought in your mind. Let us know. Expand your mind to the weirdness happening around you. Synchronicity spoken here, there, and everywhere. For more information, put Connecting with Coincidence in your search engine and find my website, my social media sites, and my blog.
What is truth? Historically, we viewed things as either being true or false. Now, as we enter a more expansive era, we find the question is not, is it true, but rather, how true is it? I'm Gwilda Wiyaka, host of the Science of Magic Radio, a syndicated, internationally broadcast radio program dedicated to uncovering this ever-expanding truth. Join me daily on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, xzbn.net, as I interview today's leading experts from the fields of science and magic to uncover the hidden truth between the lines drawn in the sand. What we unearth in our discussions is not only amazing, but totally unprecedented. You won't want to miss a single episode. In service to our listeners, past episodes can always be found on our website with our compliments at thescienceofmagic.net.
Exonation John Milor is our guest this hour, www.aliensinthebible.com. First of all, John, I want to thank you for your service to our country and for doing your part to keep us safe and sound and out of harm's way. So thank you, my friend. And tell us more about Louis Farrakhan and his adventures. Is it possible that he is just repeating the story that Muhammad had in order to give himself more credibility with his brethren?
Well, actually, Farrakhan's story is a lot more closer to Ezekiel in the Bible, Ezekiel chapters 1 and 10, than it is anything that Muhammad ever said. Farrakhan talked about being taken up to a mother ship where he was shown all kinds of advanced weaponry and plans for an invasion and all kind of crazy stuff that you don't see any of that in any other Islamic writing that I know of. But in response to your question about things that we don't see and why, I will say this: I do believe that we are seeing things. The troops I know, in particular, that have spent time in Afghanistan, Iraq, Iran, over there in the Middle East, have seen things that they cannot explain. And one of those people I actually encountered as a call-in on one of the radio interviews I did. He said that he was on a mission in Afghanistan, that they were about to do some sniper-type operation. I say that because of the kind of rifle that he had. And he saw these two people walking across the desert. One looked like a tiny little boy next to this really big guy that was carrying something under his arm. And when he looked through his scope, he saw that the little tiny boy was actually a full-grown man. And the person carrying something under his arm was this huge human being. He said at least 13 to 15 feet tall. And that he had actually a cow, a full-grown cow, under his right arm. And he was carrying it like a person might carry a small dog. And he was just shocked. And the person that was with him also saw it. And he said he fired a round at it. And a 50 cal round is an extremely hefty rifle. That will drop anything. But this round, he said he saw when it hit him center mass right in the back, and he saw like blood and flesh fly, but all the thing did was drop the cow and run. And I'll give you an idea how powerful a 50 cal is. My stepbrother was in the Iraq war, and a 50 cal round hit his engine block while they were driving a Humvee, and it took that engine block and shoved it through the entire vehicle and out the back side, splitting the entire vehicle in half. And that was one bullet. And that's what this guy shot at this thing. And it didn't kill it. It just injured it. But not even enough to stop him from running. He just dropped the cow and ran.
Unbelievable.
So I've heard and read about these incidents. They're encountering this other race of human beings that are ridiculously large. And every time the military encounters these giants, they bag them up and they fly them away in black helicopters, and nobody ever sees or hears anything about it again. And they're reminded about their non-disclosure agreement, the SF-112. I've had to sign one of those myself. But since I've never seen a giant, I'm free to talk about what somebody else said and saw.
Right.
But this guy was very, very convincing. There were many things that he mentioned during that interview that said to me that he knew what he was talking about. I say that based on my own military experience. He wasn't just making the story up. So I do believe that we have a presence over there sufficient to be able to suppress a lot of things that are actually going on. So it could be that there are some otherworldly things going on, but our influence there has managed to suppress a great deal of it.
Is it possible, John, in your opinion, that we are actually fighting a different type of war than the public knows, and the wars that we believe we are fighting are nothing else but a smokescreen to hide the real intent?
I see that as a very strong possibility that there are warring factions, that they pick their sides, and there could be like species deep down in the earth. I've read about that stuff. There could be transdimensional species that are like right here in our midst, but we're not perceiving them because maybe we're at the wrong frequency or whatever. But I would not doubt at all that there's all kind of things going on with our government trying to keep everything under control and keep the public from going into complete panic mode. which they might do if they knew just exactly how precarious our situation is.
With all the technology at everyone's disposal these days, and with the whistleblowers who scour the internet and scour government files for anything that they could release, how come none of this has surfaced?
Well, the thing is, a lot of it is surfacing, but it's just not blasted out on mainstream media. When you have people like the Minister of Defense from Canada coming forward and saying he knows that he knows that he knows.
Wait a sec. No, wait a sec here. No, I've interviewed Paul Hellyer one-on-one. I've had the opportunity of sitting down and meeting with him one-on-one.
I'm talking about the retired Minister
Right,
of Defense.
That's Paul Hellyer.
Okay.
He has never seen a UFO report. As Minister of Defense for Canada, he went on the record, and I have the tape, where he says, during my tenure as Minister of Defense, a UFO report never crossed my desk. And then once he gets out of the mainstream, all of a sudden he starts this UFO stuff based on a book that he was given. He's never had an experience himself. So when it comes to Paul Hellyer and credibility, he doesn't have any. He's a wannabe.
Okay.
He is a
He doesn't have any credibility.
Right. He's a washed-up politician who's too old to do anything else but hang on to the coattails of what he perceives as a way of using his past political influence into giving him undue credibility. Talk about stolen valor.
Yeah. Well, he isn't the only one.
Mm-hmm.
There's an official I read that I'd seen about. Actually, I saw this, and you can also question the validity of him too. I believe his name is Stephen Greer. Has a documentary out there on Netflix, and of course Hellyer was on there, but these other officials were on there as well. Some bigwig from France. They did have, I believe it was a MUFON symposium where they had some people gathered for that. A lot of military officials. There's just been an enormous amount of people that have come forward, astronauts.
I agree. There's been a lot of people who have come forward, John. But these people never bring with them any proof.
Yeah, the smoking gun.
That makes no sense to me. That really makes no sense. If you are so credible, where's your proof?
Exactly. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I totally understand it. However, as far as the thesis of my books are concerned, I'm so far beyond even needing proof anymore.
Yeah.
After what I saw in the jungle myself.
Yeah, but you had that is your proof, John.
I had that, so I'm not even focused on proof. I mean, there's cattle mutilations, there's people with bio implants that they've had taken out of their body. There's just so many a wide array of different things that all add up together to accumulate to a lot of substantial proof. And testimony after testimony, they're endless. And even the Pope is talking about stuff, just making it sound like they're about ready to just say, yeah, it's real.
Well, you know once again, Pope needs marketing. Any religion needs marketing in order to keep their flock. And in today's society, most of the people who have followed any religious philosophy do not want to be sheep anymore, because we're not. And I think that this is one of the reasons why Christianity and Catholicism are looking at a vast decrease in membership, is because they haven't kept up with the times. And I think there are other religions out there, like Islam, who know how to keep up with the times, whether it is with a jihad, whether it is with ISIS, whether it is with recruitment, whether it is with crimes against humanity. They keep up with the times, and they keep their membership strong, and they keep more and more people wanting to join. Mm-hmm. It's all marketing.
Well, the fact that this is not actually common knowledge, it's still debated whether or not extraterrestrials are even real. That actually is what gives this strong delusion its weight, because if it ever does happen, if there ever is a public disclosure or an Independence Day type scenario where people walk outside, they look up and they see the skies flooded with these otherworldly craft. If that day ever comes, people are going to be completely shocked, and they're going to have a lot of people are just going to have a paradigm shift they're not going to know how to deal with.
Hey, John, I hate to do this, but we've run out of time for tonight. I'd love to have you back on so we can continue this conversation. But until then, I want to congratulate you on the great work you've done over the years, your new articles, your new books, and thank you so much for coming back on the show. It's been a great pleasure talking to you, and once again, thank you for your service to your country.
Thank you.
You take care, John. www.aliensinthebible.com. My guest has been John Milor. And I'll be back on the other side of this commercial break with the news as we continue here in the X Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away.